A common question that comes up is, why is evil allowed to exist here and cause so much suffering in innocent souls? To answer this, we have to understand what darkness actually is and where it originates from. When I trace the energetic lines of darkness to find its origin, can you guess where I end up? Back at source. This means evil and darkness comes directly from source. Hi, my name is 𝗖𝗛𝗔𝗣𝗧𝗘𝗥𝗦, and welcome to the Higher Perspective Podcast, a show about seeing the truth to heal. In each episode, I explore the non-physical realms that make up most of reality to bring awareness to the importance of spiritual health, inner healing, and bioenergetics so that you can awaken to the truth of who you are. Welcome back to episode 13. There is so much going on, I don't even know where to begin. On a personal level, I'm continuing to go through huge internal changes and becoming more of my true self. I am loving every bit of it, but the process of change can be quite intense sometimes, so creating content and being public is not always easy for me to do. This is why you haven't heard from me for a while. Aside from that, I'm doing very well, and I feel super excited about the future. I feel excited because of what is happening within me, not because of the madness that's unfolding in the world. That madness will likely continue on indefinitely, so if you want to get off that ride, I encourage you to turn your focus from looking outwards at the world to looking inwards at yourself. I hope by the end of this episode, you'll have a better understanding of what I mean by this. For today's episode, I am going to be talking about the cosmic game all souls have incarnated here to play. This should answer the question of why you are here experiencing this madness unfolding in the world and why we are witnessing so much evil. I am also going to talk about the hierarchy pyramid of power and control we are subjected to on this planet and the role it has within this cosmic game. This pyramid structure extends from the physical world into the spiritual world, and therefore it involves both humans and non-physical entities. I think there's a lot of curiosity over what exactly is at the top of the pyramid, so I will share my understanding of what it is. Before I get into that though, let me first start by explaining what the cosmic game is. The cosmic game of life that your soul is here to play is an infinite multidimensional game of consciousness that has many levels and different sub-games within it. The point of this game is to guide the soul through a maturation process where it can develop into a conscious creator God capable of contributing to the expansion of this universe in a responsible way. Each level of the cosmic game is designed to help you expand your consciousness into higher states of awareness so you can remember who you are and your role in creation. Souls descend and ascend through all levels of the game by playing out different stories in order to go through this maturation process. But it doesn't happen in a linear way where you complete one level at a time and then go on to the next. Instead, you are playing all levels of the game at the same time simultaneously. It just depends on whether you have done the spiritual work to allow your consciousness to perceive life in a multidimensional way. I want to emphasize that this is an eternal consciousness game played by your soul. Your physical body will always be tethered to this 3D reality as your consciousness and soul moves into different levels of the game. Unless we're talking about an authentic spiritual master, The physical body for most people will not leave this 3D reality. The connection to the physical reality breaks only after death. However, even after that, the game is not over. Your soul will carry its unresolved issues with it into the afterlife and bring them back into the next physical incarnation for another chance to work them out. Unresolved issues do not disappear magically upon death. They have to be genuinely healed in order for them to go away, so it's important to remember death is not a solution to problems. Let me give you an analogy that will hopefully make this cosmic game a little bit more clear. Think of a child who wants to go outside and play in nature. Mom and dad are happy to honor that desire, so they let the child out to play. While having lots of fun exploring nature, the child also happens to fall into a mud pit, scrape a knee, get a few itchy mosquito bites, run into a tree, brush up against some poison ivy, and even cross paths with some very mean neighborhood bullies. By the end of the adventure, the child is tired, dirty, and covered in painful injuries. Before mom and dad lets the child back into the pristine house, the child has to take the garden hose to wash off all the dirt, change into a new set of clean clothes, put some medicine on the injuries, and understand the consequences of the choices that were made while out on this adventure. In that example, the child is your soul. Your soul wants to go out and play in the cosmic playground, which spans infinite dimensions. The cosmic mother and cosmic father are happy to honor that desire, so they let your soul out to play. While it is out playing, your soul gets drawn into the adventure and unknowingly wanders off deeper and deeper into the cosmic playground until it ends up in some very rough neighborhoods in the third and fourth dimension. Your soul encounters the mafia who runs the third and fourth dimension and gets into situations that result in a lot of dirt and painful injuries. Eventually, your soul has had enough and wants to go home. But because your soul has been out for so long and ventured so deep into the cosmic playground, it doesn't remember how to get back home anymore. It starts to feel scared, lonely, trapped, hopeless, and desperate. Thankfully, there are other souls within this cosmic playground who can help. However, many are also lost, injured, and covered in dirt themselves, so not everyone is very helpful. If you happen to meet some helpful souls, they won't just give you the directions back home. They will also put you through a few power washes to get the dirt off, assist you in healing your injuries, and even pack some snacks into your backpack so you have the energy you need to make that long journey back home successfully. As you get cleaned and healed, you reflect on the choices you've made during your adventure and learn from them. When you finally get back home, the cosmic mother and cosmic father sees you're sparkling clean and so much wiser. They joyfully welcome you back into the pristine house called Source until you're ready to do it all over again in your next adventure. From a higher perspective, that is a simplified version of what the journey of the soul looks like. Tragedies in life such as health problems, relationship difficulties, financial struggles, and spiritual attacks are not seen as good or bad. Rather, they are seen as lessons to expand consciousness so the soul can grow, and also as power washes to purify the soul so it can return back home to Source. The problem is society does not teach people how to move through these tragedies in a way where consciousness does expand and the soul gets purified. So what ends up happening is these tragedies only pile on more dirt and painful injuries. The soul gets stuck in this continuous loop of pain and suffering, rarely ever getting to the point of recovery, growth, and maturity. This has to do with the third dimension being the densest level of creation and the hardest part of the cosmic game. Here, the soul experiences a total separation of source consciousness, which manifests as extreme polarities. Examples of this would be dark versus light, good versus evil, love versus hate, rich versus poor, left versus right, and so on. A common question that comes up is, why is evil allowed to exist here and cause so much suffering in innocent souls? To answer this, we have to understand what darkness actually is and where it originates from. When I trace the energetic lines of darkness to find its origin, can you guess where I end up? Back at source. This means evil and darkness comes directly from source. Now, depending on a person's beliefs and programming, that can be a very hard thing to accept because in their mind, the Creator is only good and would never cause harm. But if you think about it, everything in existence comes from source, so why would darkness and evil be any different? Source is not just love, light, and all things pretty. It is also hate, darkness, and all things ugly. The only difference is at the level of source, everything is unified into wholeness, so there isn't a separation between dark and light. In the real story of creation, source consciousness separated itself to create the infinite levels of dimensions. Every soul in existence was then birthed out of the primordial sound and light fields and populated into these dimensions to play the cosmic game. You and I are here playing this game to expand our consciousness and heal the separation wound within us so we can come back into wholeness and go home to source. The third and fourth dimension is a playground designed for us to experience separation. So while we are down here playing out our 3D lives, we will have a full-on confrontation with darkness and light. It may seem like we are only confronting darkness because that is the aspect of ourselves in which we struggle the most to see, accept, and love. For the most part, people don't have any issues with confronting the positive aspects of themselves, but the negative aspects always gets suppressed, denied, rejected, and projected outwards. The cosmic game at the third and fourth dimension uses external evil to show us the darkest parts of ourselves that we have not integrated yet. The cosmic game brings us people, situations, and events to help us heal the separation of dark and light within us so we can come back into wholeness. The more we suppress, deny, reject, and project something outwards, in this case, our darkness, the more the cosmic game will give us that. This is not done in a malicious way to hurt us. It's just how creation creatively communicates. It uses our 3D life to get our attention and look at something. So, for example, at first, it can be a gentle message such as, "Hey, over here, please look at this," such as feeling anxious. If the person doesn't listen, it will be communicated much more loudly, such as regular asthma or anxiety attacks. If the person continues to not pay attention, creation will roar like thunder, and the message will be delivered as a major life tragedy that crushes the person, such as being diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder where the person becomes disabled and unable to work. That's what it took for the person to stop, look at the underlying issue of unhealed trauma, and work on healing it. I see similar patterns all the time to this when I do spiritual consultations and look into people's soul blueprint. But this is also what has happened to me in my own life, so I speak from lived wisdom. In hindsight, I realized all the horrible things that have ever happened to me was just creation trying to get me to look at my own internal darkness so I could heal it. While your consciousness is deeply immersed in the drama of 3D life, especially if you are suffering in pain and drowning in tragedies, it will be very hard to see problems and challenges as something that helps you. When people aren't willing to self-reflect and take responsibility for their own darkness, that's when they will project it outwards as external evil and play the victimhood card in life. You may have heard some people say Earth is a prison planet for souls and how everyone is enslaved within the matrix. There is absolute truth to that, and a frequency fence that acts like a barrier for the soul does exist. However, it is not a trap, because if you play the cosmic game the way it was designed and you do the work to heal yourself, expand your consciousness, and develop your soul, you can pass through that frequency fence without any issues. This frequency fence is maintained by the hidden hierarchy pyramid of power and control. Since a majority of people are visual learners, I'm going to use this diagram I came across a while ago to help explain my understanding of this pyramid. Just to be very clear, I do not agree with everything shown in this diagram. I have a very different understanding of the spiritual realms compared to this artist. With that said, I think he did a great job at summarizing it. I will include a link to his website, but if you are going to study this diagram in more depth on your own, please remember to use your discernment. Okay, let's begin at the bottom. Everyone starts down here in the matrix as a sleeping zombie, with a majority of people slaving away at a job they don't enjoy. Then, when a person's internal spiritual alarm clock goes off, this would be the initial awakening, which is set at a different time for everyone, the soul will wake up and begin to guide the person to do two things in life. The first one is to find people who can help the person heal and get to a place where he or she can fulfill the soul's purpose for being here. The second one is to search for information that will help the person make sense of this strange world. This normally involves going down deep rabbit holes to learn about the deception, lies, conspiracies, and crimes carried out by the different groups occupying the bottom 3 levels of this pyramid. These 3 levels represent the power hierarchy in the physical 3rd dimension. Since it is physical, we are talking about human beings here. As I've said in previous episodes, human beings are not the ones sitting at the top of the pyramid running the show on this planet. They are under the control of non-physical entities who occupy the higher levels of the pyramid above them. On this diagram, everything from the 4th level up represents the power hierarchy that exists in the non-physical 4th dimension. I want to emphasize that this control structure only extends up to the 4th dimension and not beyond it, like what some people believe. The 4th dimension is also known as the astral plane. When you hear someone talk about astral projection or astral traveling, Their soul is exploring the astral fourth dimension and not anything above it. So a person who astral travels will only have a limited perspective of the spiritual world. The astral plane is where the soul continues to play out experiences from the third dimension that have to do with destruction, chaos, fear, control, and separation. The only difference is the cosmic playground has now gotten larger, and the person now experiences destruction, chaos, fear, control, and separation, not just in the physical realm involving humans, but now also in the spiritual realm involving astral entities. All those galactic drama stories you hear certain spiritual teachers and channelers talk about, you know, the ones where the evil aliens are fighting the good aliens? My understanding is those stories are only taking place in the fourth dimension and not beyond it. This means the spiritual war is occurring in the astral fourth dimension only, and evil has not infiltrated into higher dimensions. This is because from the fifth dimension up, separation is healed and the soul comes into wholeness, so that internal battle of dark and light ceases to exist. This is why it doesn't make any sense to me when people tell stories of fifth dimensional beings or higher engaging in drama and fighting a spiritual war. Personally, I think these people are talking about entities in the astral plane, not higher dimensional beings. The purpose behind these drama stories and the spreading of false information by astral entities is to keep humanity confused, divided, suffering, and living in fear. Their job is to perpetuate separation in this game through polarity so that there is a continuous supply of energetic food to feed what is at the top of the pyramid. And who exactly is sitting at the top of the pyramid? I call it the Astral Dark Overlord. It's a very ancient, highly intelligent, extremely advanced, and powerful energetic force. It is not a single individuated entity, but rather a super large collective hive mind consciousness that has been around since the beginning of creation. It rules over the third and fourth dimension. It sees and knows everything that goes on in these two levels, which is why it is commonly represented by the all-seeing eye. Even though I call it the Astral Dark Overlord, many groups within this hierarchy pyramid refer to this consciousness as God with a capital G, the Creator, Father, or the Light. So regardless of what religion and spiritual beliefs you may have, I cannot stress enough the importance of getting very clear about what God you pray to or what higher power you connect with. Everyone in the pyramid works towards furthering the agenda of separation, chaos, fear, and death for the Astral Dark Overlord. This includes, but is not limited to, the reptilians, archons, Satan, Ahriman, AI, the Galactic Federation, and the fallen angels. However, not everyone knows what is truly going on or what the actual agenda really is. That agenda is kept between the Astral Dark Overlord and Source, but you will learn what it is when you expand your consciousness into higher levels of awareness. The pyramid is very compartmentalized, so people at the bottom levels will not know what the people or entities in higher levels are up to. There's also a lot of infighting that goes on between different groups within the pyramid. This is because all souls in the third and fourth dimension, including those in this pyramid, are here playing the cosmic game just like you. They too have a long laundry list of problems that they've come here to work out through drama and hardships, in order to find their way back home to Source. Just because someone is in this pyramid or holds a position that is higher up in the hierarchy, it doesn't automatically mean they know what is really going on. Many are dealing with their own traumas and trapped in sub-games of gaining power, money, fame, and control, which prevents them from seeing the full picture. So please be mindful not to get caught up in believing that certain humans, such as politicians or non-physical beings like aliens, are going to be the saviors of humanity. There's a good chance they're also lost, injured, and covered in dirt, struggling to save themselves within this cosmic game. The astral plane, or fourth dimension, is divided into the upper and lower realm. I personally think certain religions have mistaken the upper realm as heaven and the lower astral realm as hell. Both of these realms contain many levels for consciousness to move through. I think these levels are what gives people the impression they are experiencing higher dimensions during meditations, astral projections, spiritual journeys, and near-death experiences. For example, in a lot of near-death experiences, you will hear people claim they went to heaven and met God. In their perspective, they did. But when I listen to how they describe heaven and what actually happened there, or when I read their energetic signature, which holds the imprints of where the soul went, they only went to the upper astral realm, not back home to Source. The upper astral realm can be very alluring, so it's easy to mistaken it as heaven. I also think many people who claim to be in contact with benevolent beings in higher dimensions are actually dealing with entities in the upper astral realm of the fourth dimension. They too can be very alluring and convincing. Unless people have unified the polarity within themselves and moved past the barrier of the fourth dimension to experience what's beyond it, it's going to be very difficult to tell the difference. This brings up an interesting topic of reincarnation. My understanding is when people pass away, the soul leaves the physical body and first enters into the astral plane. If the person did not do any spiritual healing work when they were alive, such as clear the heart chakra, expand consciousness, and build up the light body, the soul will not have what it needs to move past this barrier of the fourth dimension and continue its journey home. The soul won't even be able to perceive that there's anything beyond the boundaries of the astral plane because the person didn't do the work to expand their consciousness far enough to see it. In this situation, the soul gets restricted to the astral plane and will have nowhere to go but reincarnate again. There are people who feel reincarnation is a soul trap, but I have a different perspective on it. It's not a trap because there is a way out. It's just the way to get out requires a lot of hard work, which, quite frankly, most people are not interested in doing. There are many entities and humans within this hierarchy pyramid whose job is to keep humanity distracted from truly healing themselves and developing authentic spirituality. There is a very strong agenda here to deepen the trauma and keep people's focus on the external aspects of life, such as going to school, getting a job, making money, buying a house, getting married, having kids, and so forth. While those things are important to achieve to a certain degree within this reality, they are focused on the external, superficial, and materialistic aspects of life instead of the internal spiritual growth your soul came here for. As a result of that shift in focus, the soul never ends up achieving what it needs to move past the fourth dimension, and therefore it gets stuck replaying the same level of the cosmic game for hundreds of lifetimes. So in that sense, yes, the soul is trapped here. But even though the Astral Dark Overlord made it very difficult to beat this level of the cosmic game, with all the trauma, false information, attacks, and amnesia, you can still find genuine help to get you out of the situation. You just have to be sincere about it and be willing to put in the hard work, because it's not going to be easy. If you take the time to develop the things your soul needs to move beyond the fourth dimension, you are free to leave and you will not be stopped. So in that sense, it is not a trap. One problem that makes this process difficult is our society does not promote genuine spiritual information, so it is very hard to learn how to truly heal yourself, develop your soul, and expand your consciousness. Not to mention, if you are looking for help, you have to wade through a sea of disingenuous people who oftentimes don't have any idea what they're talking about and are only interested in serving themselves. This is all by design, because entities benefit from the never-ending pain generated from unhealed trauma and the continuous cohorts of souls going through the reincarnation cycle. Another big problem is people are heavily indoctrinated, conditioned, and hypnotized to a point where they not only can't see what the real game is about, even if you explain it to them, they don't care. They just want the money, fame, power, control, physical pleasure, and to stay in the comfort of what is familiar. So a really good question to think about when it comes to reincarnation is whether it's really a trap imposed by entities, or is it self-imposed by the individual? By the way, it's not enough to say in your human form that you've had enough of the torture here and will not be coming back for another round. A majority of people who say that tend to be the first ones back in line at the soul recycling center. Whether you reincarnate again or not depends on how much work you've done to heal yourself and develop your soul while you are still alive in this physical form. If you don't do the work and are not willing to take responsibility for your own darkness, it's a guarantee you will be back for another round. You don't have to wait until the afterlife to know if you've gotten off the reincarnation wheel. It can happen in this lifetime while you are still alive in your physical body. You'll know you've gotten off the reincarnation wheel and went beyond the fourth dimension based on the level of peace, love, and beauty you experience in your 3D life. Remember, the third and fourth dimension is the part of the cosmic game where we have to work out our polarity issues to come back into wholeness. When you unify the dark and light within and heal your own internal separation, external polarity dramas will disappear from your life. It doesn't mean these dramas and tragedies will disappear in the world. It just means that no matter what happens externally in the world, you will always be grounded in inner peace. When you unify the dark and light within yourself, there will no longer be external darkness for you to battle. This is just how the law of correspondence works. So if you are tired of fighting narcissists, evil corporations, entities, and reptilians in life, I encourage you to look internally at your own darkness. If you can get that sorted out internally, you won't have those problems externally anymore. If you've ever wondered how to truly exit the matrix and leave this prison planet, you don't do it physically. You do it through your consciousness and soul by healing yourself from the internal wounds you have. The answer is very straightforward, but whether people are willing to actually look at their own issues and take responsibility for them is another story. If you do those things, you will eventually move past the fourth dimension and into the fifth, where the cosmic game changes into something completely different. In the fifth dimension, the cosmic game becomes all about stepping into your soul purpose and sharing your soul gifts to help bring heaven on earth. When I work with people in one-on-one sessions, the question that everyone wants to know is what their soul purpose is and how they can step onto that path immediately. The honest answer is you need to play the cosmic game your soul came here to experience and get all your 3D and 4D problems sorted out first. This means doing a serious amount of inner work and spiritual healing to address the separation wound you have internally. This wound creates the polarity of dark and light within you. You have to unify that polarity and come back into wholeness, because being healed and in wholeness is your ticket into 5D. When your consciousness and soul enters 5D, that's when you begin the journey of stepping into your soul purpose. You need to heal the damaged parts of you first before you can truly step into your soul purpose. Many people don't want to do that. They don't want to put in the work to heal themselves or take time to develop their skills. They get ahead of themselves and rush into it before they're actually ready. And you know what? It never ends well. These people end up causing more damage to themselves and others, which is bad karma. It's important for your soul to play the cosmic game, because through that journey, you will collect puzzle pieces that help you remember who you are and understand what you came here to share. This is not really something another person can tell you, because it's supposed to be an internal journey of self-discovery. In the earlier parts of my spiritual journey, I felt an urgency to figure out what my soul purpose was so I could get on it right away. I got tons of Akashic readings, psychic and intuitive readings, numerology readings, astrological birth chart readings, trance readings, and guess what? None of them gave me the answer. There were 2 readings that did give me a very clear puzzle piece, but I didn't even have the context to understand what it meant at that time. In the end, I had to live out my 3D life, make mistakes, gain experiences, and figure it all out on my own. I had no idea what I came here to do would look like what I'm currently doing, and I've only scratched the surface. So what I want to say here is your purpose is your life, so live it out fully. Have fun, don't be afraid to make mistakes, enjoy the physical experience, and most importantly, learn how to love yourself first. It's in that process that you will discover your soul gifts and the specific soul mission you came here to fulfill. When you reach that place in your soul journey, you're going to love being here on earth. You're going to love it so much that you won't even want to go back home to Source, because the cosmic game becomes so much fun here. That might be hard to imagine for some people, but that is how I feel about life from the perspective of where I am right now in my own journey. I didn't always feel this way, especially when I was living out the harder parts of my life, when I was suffering in deep pain, but I learned to heal myself, and this is how I feel about life now. There will always be pain, suffering, chaos, and destruction in this world. Those things will never disappear because it's the nature of the third and fourth dimension. All you can do is work on healing yourself so you can find compassion in your heart for those who are lost, dirty, and injured within this cosmic game. Then focus your energy towards fulfilling your soul purpose to help those who want to leave find their way back home. When you are doing that, you will feel excited about life, regardless of the madness that unfolds in the world. I'll see you in the next episode.